support from the neighborhood association in these packets? I did not see that.
It should be there. They did send one.
They're all in the same neighborhood even. Well, through most in Willard Hay, all except for one.
They're all in there north.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't live near it. I don't care. I just think there'd be a level of due diligence that we'd want to see the product first and make sure. Did the neighborhood that reviewed it see the finished houses? Did anyone travel up to their site north of here where they build them to look at them? Alfred, okay. I mean, yes, it's great. We're getting rid of these properties unless you're the neighbor next door, and then you're not. Is anyone from Thor here? This is a land sale for 9 sites. Great. Come on up and give us some information. Again, they're hideous.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Gary Findell. Have worked with Thor since 2003, and one of the principals and I started a new company called Smart Homes. And contrary to some of the things you may have heard, modular housing is not mobile housing, manufactured housing, or anything like that. It is housing that is built to the same building code that any other house built in Minneapolis, St. Paul, or the state of Minnesota has to meet right now. In fact, the plans are permitted through the state of Minnesota. State of Minnesota inspectors inspect the houses while they're being framed, while they're being roughed in for electrical, plumbing, heating, and so forth. At the same time, we pull a permit with the city of Minneapolis, and that permit covers all of the work that's done on site, including the foundation, excavation. We go through the same site plan review process and everything. Our first foundation, we bought 2 lots from the land bank, Twin Cities Community Land Bank. We have a foundation up at 4309 Irving, and our first modular house is being placed there next Tuesday, the 28th of June. We're going to be inviting people to come.
So we could go see it on Tuesday.
You can go see it. We would love that. And I've been in construction my entire life, and when we first came up with this idea, we were trying to find a way to build quality housing that's well designed, but at a less expensive price to try and lessen that affordability gap.
What's the price range of these houses in terms of what you're going to sell them for?
Depending on the lot, location, the size, and so forth, between $180 and $225.
What's your cost to build it?
That varies depending on the soil conditions, whether or not shoring is required, level of finishes, and so forth. But we're giving buyers, obviously not with the first 1 or 2 because they're going to be our models, but we're giving buyers opportunity to select some of their own finishes, including cabinet styles, countertops, stuff like that. The houses will include a basic level we call smart technology, so there'll be security systems, cameras at the front and rear door, and the ability to control and monitor those from your smartphone. That's kind of a base package, and we'll have other options that can be added to that. But like I said, our first house is being placed on a week from today, actually, 4309 Irving, and I would welcome anybody to come look at it. We can give tours. I think anybody that sees it will be really surprised and pleased with the quality of the house. And we're really excited about moving forward. We're doing another lot at 3550 Fremont that we purchased from the land bank using a similar model.
What can you tell me about how you chose these 9 lots?
We wanted them to be generally in the same neighborhood. We looked at the CPED's lot inventory map, drove around, determined lots that we thought were either in what we felt were stronger blocks or might be blocks that would be more successful at building a house. We chose some of the larger lots that were there. There's a couple lots where there's a potential for a walkout. In addition to my partner, our superintendent is a guy named Anderson Mitchell, who's a Northside resident who's been working and building in the North Side for a long time. So Anderson and I were the ones that determined what lots we felt were the best chance to build and sell successfully.
Okay, that sounds good. I just need more of an explanation. This is 9 lots. We certainly put there was another gentleman who bought 7 lots, and we asked him a dozen questions too. He's been very successful, by the way. Was it Wilson Molina? Yeah, so don't take it personally. It's our job to try to figure out whether or not this makes some sense or not. 9 lots is a lot of lots. Yep. Further comments or questions? What the clerk is going to say is I should open the public hearing. So I'll open the public hearing. We'll consider your question and answer part of
Okay.
your testimony. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just thank you for the opportunity to help build some houses in North Minneapolis. Thank you.
Further comments for the folks from Thor or Mr. Pettiford? Okay. I'll move approval then. I'll close the public hearing and move approval of items 6 through 14. So for the clerk's benefit, 2214 Russell Avenue North, 2026 Sheridan Avenue North, 1927 Queen Avenue North, 1911 Oliver Avenue North, 1719 Sheridan Avenue North, 2023 Queen Avenue North, 1218 Irving Avenue North, 1730 Newton Avenue North, and 1927 Oliver Avenue North. Comments or questions? Councilmember Frye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is an excellent development. I've been looking at the different addresses on which homes will soon be built, and they were either vacant or the homes that previously existed there were in really struggling, horrible conditions. So this is 9 parcels that previously either were vacant or houses in horrible condition, and they're now getting developed. This is additional eyes on the street. This is additional property taxes that we'll be generating. We're no longer need to pay for the operation and maintenance of these spaces. And the homes, that, from what I've seen, they look like it's a substantial improvement over the status quo. So, we're trying to put some additional people in North Minneapolis and try and get some owner-occupied units there, and I think this is doing exactly that. It's good progress.
On the motion to approve, further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. On item number 15, Mr. Wilson, are we deleting this from the agenda?
Madam Chair, yes, this application has been withdrawn by the owner and can be withdrawn.
Okay, I'll ask the clerk if we need to have a public hearing since it was posted, but it's been withdrawn. What would your preference be? Okay, I'll open the public hearing on item number 15. Merlin's Rest Pub at 3601 East Lake Street was an expansion of premise, has been withdrawn. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and move to withdraw. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item has been withdrawn. We'll move on to item number 16. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an application by the Rose Street Patisserie, which is a restaurant at 2811 West 43rd Street, and they are seeking an expansion of premises for a private outdoor patio. This is in the Linden Hills neighborhood in Ward 13. This is a C1 zone property. Zoning has determined that this outdoor patio, if added, will not require additional off-street parking. It will have a seating capacity for 20 customers. They propose to operate this patio from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. This expansion does require us to hold this public hearing. 52 notices of today's hearing were mailed to residents and property owners. We also notified the Linden Hills Neighborhood Association and the Linden Hills Business Association. We received one response from that notification process, and that response was in support of the application. Staff as well is in support of the application and recommends that this receive approval.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 16? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 16, which is an expansion of premise at Rose Street Patisserie. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Please, sir, step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Madam Chairman and committee members, my name is Larry Lockman, L-O-C-K-M-A-N, and I live at 2605 West 44th Street in Linden Hills. I walk to this wonderful patisserie with my dog. We sit on the ground outside because dogs can't come into restaurants. I would really like a table and a chair when I go there for breakfast or lunch. About the wine and beer, my experience is that it wilts my cornflakes, so I don't have an opinion about that. But I sure would like to have a chair to sit on when I have breakfast. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. That was great. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Is anyone here from the Rose Street Patisserie? Oh, that's unfortunate. I'd go kiss this guy if I were you. Yeah, we so infrequently get someone to stand up and say, yes, we think this is great. It's a big deal when someone comes to do that. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing a good job with the patisserie. I will move approval of the staff recommendation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 17. Mr. Wilson.
Madam Chair, we have an application by a restaurant known as Soda Roll, 50th and France LLC, and they are located at 5005 Ewing Avenue South. They're applying for an on-sale wine and strong beer license to operate in conjunction with their restaurant. They have been a licensed restaurant at this site since October 2015. Prior to that, this site was a general retail store. This is in the Fulton neighborhood in Ward 13. The site is Zone C2. The zoning administrator has determined that the addition of wine and beer will not require additional off-street parking. Their capacity on the interior is 36 customer seats and 24 on the exterior. They propose to continue to have operating hours 11 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. This application also includes a minor shareholder change. The owners of this establishment are currently the owners of the Yogurt Lab Agriculture, and agricultural restaurants currently have on-sale liquor in their locations, and no violations or concerns have been raised with those establishments serving beverage alcohol. A public hearing is required for this license upgrade. 140 notices were sent to owners and residents within 600 feet of this address. Fulton Neighborhood Group was notified, and the 50th and France Business Association was notified of today's hearing. We received 3 responses. 2 were in support. 1 was in opposition to the application. The one opposition particularly cites continuing traffic difficulties in parking in this area. Staff's review of the application find that it meets all of the requirements of our ordinances, and we are recommending that you approve the application.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 17? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 17, which is a new business license for Soda Roll at 5005 Ewing Avenue South. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of this item.
Approval of item number 17 has been moved. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 18. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a distillery, a micro distillery in Minneapolis called Tattersall Distilling Company, and they are located at 1620 Central Avenue Northeast. They are seeking an upgrade in their license from a Class C1 on-sale liquor license to a Class B. The difference between the C1 and the Class B is just the entertainment level, and that will allow them to have DJ-provided entertainment and dancing in their distillery cocktail room. This application also includes a minor shareholder change where 4% of the shares are being transferred, and we have reviewed the background of the new shareholders and find them to comply with our applicant standards. A public hearing is required for this license upgrade. We did send 86 notices to residents and property owners within 600 feet of this address. We also notified the Logan Park Neighborhood Association and the Northeast Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce. We received no responses for or against this application. They seem to meet all of the requirements of our ordinances, and staff's recommendation is approval.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 18? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 18, which is a license upgrade for Tattersall Distilling. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Reich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of this item.
Approval has been moved. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 19, which is Mr. Wilson.
Madam Chair, we have an application by the Minnesota Sports Facilities Authority doing business as U.S. Bank Stadium, 401 Chicago Avenue North. And we are basically adjusting the premises footprint for the U.S. Bank Stadium The Minnesota Sports Facilities Authority has an on-sale liquor license for this premises from the Metrodome days. We have reactivated that license, and we're just really setting the footprint because of a couple minor changes in the site. They would like to expand their licensed premises to include the premises of the reconfigured plaza, including the 5th Street right-of-way. The 5th Street that formerly went through here has been vacated. The extended plaza area includes the northwest corner of the U.S. Bank Stadium LRT block, as well as the leased portion of the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's block. It also includes the current plaza, which is on the southwest corner of the U.S. Bank Stadium LRT block, and those portions of Chicago Avenue between 4th and 6th Streets when they are closed for events. Public hearing is required for this expansion of their outdoor premises. 32 notices of this public hearing were mailed to residents and property owners within 450 feet, and we also notified the Downtown Minneapolis Neighborhood Association, Elliott Park Neighborhood, East Downtown Council, and the Warehouse District Business Association. We received no responses as of today regarding for or against this application. One other item to note is that Aramark will continue to be the food and beverage service provider for the stadium and will be the overseer of all alcohol sales in this premises. Staff finds that this application meets all of our requirements, and the recommendation from staff is that you approve the application.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 19? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 19, which is an expansion of premise for U.S. Bank Stadium. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move approval of this item.
Approval has been moved. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll then move on to our last regular public hearing, which is the sidewalk food vendor location ordinance. Welcome, Linda.
Council Chair Goodman, council members, committee members, and Linda Roberts, Assistant Manager of Business Licensing. I'm going to give a very brief presentation about the amendment that is before you, which is for sidewalk carts. The amendment is rather simple, or business made simple, to be specific. There is a business interest for sidewalk food carts to operate outside of downtown, and we want to support that business interest in the hopes that it will allow economic development and vitality in the city of Minneapolis. Considering expanding this area is very similar to what we did for food trucks in the city of Minneapolis. Over the years, we have expanded that area. When they first were introduced, they were limited to just downtown. With that expansion for food trucks, there's been little to no consequence to the city, and also a nice economic development. If the amendments are passed, sidewalk carts would be limited to commercial corridors. They'd have fixed sites, and those sites would be continued to be evaluated for ADA compliance, and their food preparation would continue to be evaluated for food safety standards. We do have a pending application because if the amendment passes, that applicant would like to operate a food cart on West Broadway and by the Capri Theater. So we're hoping that it does pass today for that economic area. Public hearing notices were sent out to businesses and neighborhood associations and all sidewalk vendors on June 9th. We did just now receive a public hearing support response from Homegrown Minneapolis. They hope to have been here today, but they were not able to make it, and they do support the amendment and worked with staff in preparing the documents that are before you. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Are there any questions for Ms. Roberts? Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Roberts, can you talk a little bit about the multilingual sort of engagement plan that we would have? Because I know that a lot of immigrants from Latin America and maybe some other countries would be really interested in taking advantage of this opportunity. So are materials translated, or what's kind of the approach to let people know about this change if it becomes official?
Committee Chair Goodman, Councilmember Cano, we do have a good working relationship with the Lake Street Council, and they are aware of this amendment, and they do see that there is a population that can benefit from this amendment there, that does have some language outreach needs. I would anticipate that we would work with the Lake Street Council and meet that need that way. But there hasn't been a specific plan in place to address that need besides working with that business association.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would recommend that we work with NCR folks to help us get the word out. And I know that places like Latino Economic Development Center, African Development Center, the folks who have been working with the small business owners might be a good way to get the word out, because maybe some of the brick and mortar stores might want to start something smaller that's more portable. And then I was looking at the staff report, and it seems like there was a map on here. I was trying to look at the map of the commercial corridors where this would apply, but I didn't quite get that map. I see a map here, but it's mostly of like the downtown Minneapolis area, it looks like. And so I'm confused. Is this available in commercial corridors all over the city? And if so, what are those commercial corridors?
Committee Chair Goodman, Councilmember Cano, the commercial corridors are identified in the zoning code, and they're extensive, and it is throughout the city, so that when staff need to reference what a commercial corridor is, we're able to look in the zoning code. But it's basically any busy street where there is commercial zone property.
That's designated by the planning department as a commercial corridor, which are big: Lake Street, Franklin, Central,
Right.
etc.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it was more than just what I see here as
Yes,
a map.
that's only what's allowed now. This is opening it up all over the city.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Further comments or questions for staff? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We'll open the public hearing on item number 20, which is amending provisions related to the geographical boundaries authorized for operating sidewalk food carts. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Please step forward. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Blaine McCutcheon. Council, I don't know how to address this thing. Council Goodman.
Sure.
All right. Let's see, I've been in food cart business for about 30 plus years, so in downtown Minneapolis. I'm happy to see this amendment. I think it opens up, it gives a flavor to neighborhoods. It gives people, I love the name of the thing is, business made simple. And it's true. I mean, you look at the history of push carts way back into New York City, and that's how a lot of these guys got their starts. Restaurants, business people, et cetera. It's a way to educate yourself on economics, financials, et cetera. So it kind of goes hand in hand almost with the earlier first presentation that was on tonight. It's educating people, giving them economic opportunities. This also brings a life to the street that people tend to own a corner if they can eat on a corner. And that's what I believe that it also enhances public safety. So with that's my only comment.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
testimony. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move approval of this item.
Approval has been moved of item 20. Further comments or questions? Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question, Mr. Roberts. It occurred to me when we did the food trucks initially, there was still some restrictions around parks about locations. Does that apply for these carts as well?
Committee Chair Goodman, Councilmember Quincy, yes, there is in the code provisions about parks and then also school property.
Right. Okay, so that they can or can't, or do they have to secure permission or something?
The response is that they cannot unless they secure permission. So.
Okay, great. It could be a neat enhancement for a lot of neighborhood events that happen in parks when they can do that. I know it worked out really well when we started bringing in 5 and 6 food trucks to a major event in parks. So this will be neat. Thank you.
On the motion to approve the staff recommendation, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll then turn to our quasi-judicial hearings chaired by Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair. Since we disposed of item 21 already, is that correct? No. Okay, so we have 2 items on the quasi-judicial hearings agenda for today. Item number 21 is SB Food Services, Inc.'s on-sale liquor with Sunday sales, Class D, and food caterer licenses. Mr. Wilson.
Chair Fry, I have confirmed that we have received full payment on the monies owed that were the basis for this adverse license action, and so I would recommend that you remove from the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Before I remove it from the agenda, I will open the public hearing in case anybody is here to speak to this item today. Is anybody here to speak on item number 21, SB Food Services? Is anybody here? Is anybody here? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. I will move to remove this item from the agenda. Any discussion on that item? All those in approval, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Item number 21 has been removed from the agenda. Item number 22 is a rental dwelling license revocation of 804 31st Avenue North. Not Ms. Dowling.
She is out. Good afternoon, Vice Chair Fry and committee members. My name is Nick Magrino from Regulatory Services. I'm here on a license revocation action for 804 31st Avenue North. This is a single unit licensed rental property. The respondent in this matter, Ms. Ellen Carnway-Tua, is the owner of record and obtained a license to operate the property as a rental business in October of 2015. On December 8th, 2015, the Minneapolis Police Department responded to a report of a person with a gun at the property. There was a reported shot spotter activation earlier that morning in the area. While at the property, the police officers recovered a handgun, which was later found to be stolen, and several spent casings. On December 10th, 2015, a first notice of conduct on licensed premise was sent to Ms. Carnway-Tua. That notice informed Ms. Carnway-Tua that the December 8th, 2015 incident was in violation of Minneapolis Code of Ordinances 244-2020A6, which prohibits the unlawful possession, transportation, sale, or use of a weapon on the licensed property. That notice instructed Ms. Carnway-Tua to submit a written management plan within 10 days and return it to the crime prevention specialist, Mr. Luther Kruger, per MCO 244-2020C. That notice also stated that failure to submit that written management plan may result in the City Council taking action to deny, refuse to renew, revoke, or suspend the rental license for that property. Ms. Carnway-Tua failed to submit a written management plan, and on January 11, 2016, an administrative citation in the amount of $200 was issued. That administrative citation also noted the continued requirement to submit that written management plan. On January 14, 2016, no written management plan had been submitted, and a notice of revocation was sent to Ms. Carnway-Tua at her listed address of 4355 Hodgson Road in Shoreview via U.S. and certified mail. The notice was not returned by the Postal Service. The notice was also posted on the rental property itself, giving the owner 15 days to file an appeal in this matter, and the owner did not appeal the revocation action. So the city is requesting revocation of the license, and at this time I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Nick. Any questions for staff at this time? Seeing none, this is a quasi-judicial license hearing for which this committee is limited by law to hearing argument from the property owner or the owner's representative, but is prohibited from considering further evidence or taking any further testimony. This means that you are required to limit your comments to arguments specifically addressing the evidence or testimony introduced before the hearing officer, which is part of the record that is already before us. You may not offer and we may not consider any new or additional evidence. Having read that introductory statement, I appreciate your time, staff. And do we have a representative or the owner present here today that would like to speak? Is there a representative or owner here today? Representative or owner here today? Seeing none, I will close the hearing. Quick question for staff. Have we received any additional information from the owner or representative since the administrating hearing officer's decision?
We haven't received anything in writing. I believe staff had spoken with Ms. Carnway-Tua, and she had said that she might attend this hearing, but it doesn't appear that she did come.
Okay. Seeing that our hands are pretty much tied on this one, I will move approval of staff's recommendation to revoke. Is there any additional discussion on this one? Seeing none, all those in approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no, and that item passes. Thank you. Councilmember Goodman.
Seeing no further business before us, we are adjourned.
Nick, I'm sorry, what was your last name?